This video discusses the dark side of fraud in northern Burma and a philosophical perspective on the dark side of human nature and how we can better protect ourselves. In the northern Myanmar, a hidden world is increasingly devouring the lives of countless innocent people. Fraud centers, a shadowy industry dedicated to internet scams, phone scams and other fraudulent practices, are thriving here. Today, we're going to delve into this world and explore how it works, how it affects individuals, and how we can protect ourselves from it.
The emergence of fraud centers in northern Myanmar is not a coincidence. It is a phenomenon driven by complex socio-economic factors, including poverty, lack of employment opportunities, and inadequate legal regulation. These fraud centers are often run by organized criminal gangs who exploit the desperation of the local population and lure them into their ranks.
The Myanmar military carried out the mass killings. They happened in the district of Keni. 4 villages were targeted over several weeks in July.
With the rise of pig-killing desk scams in 2017, where the victims are mostly Chinese, telecom fraud syndicates have shifted their focus to Southeast Asian countries, such as Myanmar, as the Chinese government takes enforcement action within China. Telecom fraud syndicates lured Chinese out of the country and forced them to engage in illegal activities, such as emotionally charged scams such as pig-killing desks, cryptocurrency scams, and money laundering. Since the outbreak of the military coup in Myanmar in February 21, when the Burmese army seized power and established the Burmese junta, the cyber fraud industry has flourished in the autonomous military zones along Myanmar's eastern border, working with the Burmese military, its agents, and other armed groups to earn billions of dollars for the criminal gangs. According to CCTV news reports, there are hundreds of fraud parks in Myawaddy on the Myanmar-Thai border alone, and with the fraud syndicates entrenched in parts of northern Myanmar, there are at least 1,000 parks with more than 100,000 people committing telecommunications fraud every day. In August 2023, the UN released a report stating that an estimated 120,000 people are trafficked into Myanmar to work as cyber fraudsters, forced to commit fraud and abuse against people around the world. They are forced to commit fraud against people around the world and are subjected to abuse, including torture, sexual violence, and other forms of cruel, degrading punishment.
What do you know about fraud in northern Myanmar?
Of course, I think my parents' friend of mine is a good example. My friend Zamin is a victim who met Li Wei on social media, who claimed to be a successful businessman working overseas. After several months of dating, Li Wei asked Zamin for financial assistance. To solve a supposedly urgent problem, Zamin lost thousands of dollars and eventually realized it. It was an elaborate scam. From now on, I'm determined to protect my wallet from those who would steal it. Do you know anything else about the fraud in Burma?
Yeah, I do. I have a friend with whom I have a good relationship with. He's a young man that just graduated university and he saw an advertisement on the internet for a well-paying job. They were asking for a fee to keep the job and travel to another country to work. So he paid the fee and he got on the plane and traveled to another country. But when he got off the plane, he couldn't be contacted. I think he was trapped by the people who set up that advertisement, which is very scary to think about.
We've interviewed 2 students who have shared their experiences and feelings of people they're close to. It makes us shudder to realize that fraud is all around us. These stories illustrate the devastating impact that fraud can have on an individual's life, including financial loss, psychological trauma, and impact on relationships. Public awareness and education are key to tackling this growing problem. People need to know how to recognize and prevent these scams, while government and international organizations need to work more closely together to crack down on these fraudulent networks and provide more economic opportunities in affected areas to reduce the incentive for people who join these criminal activities. Being a victim of fraud in any situation can be tricky to get out of. We need to be more aware when dealing with these kinds of situations.
Each of us has the power to take action to protect ourselves and those we love the most.
Through education, vigilance, and active community involvement.
Together, we can combat this ever-growing problem.